everyone, let's see at component scan in the Spring Boot. Usage of at component scan. It is used to instruct Spring Boot to scan specific packages for components, configurations and beans. Let's see what is beans. So bean is a object. Bean is a object that is created and managed by Spring IOC container. So it is a bean is an object. It is managed by the Spring IOC container, inversion of control container. So life cycle of a bean is instantiation, dependency injection, initialization, and so on. So how beans are created and managed in the Spring Boot is when Spring Boot scans a package and find classes annotated with. While scanning the packages, it sees this at component, at service, at repository, at controller, these annotations. It creates, if it sees this annotation, it creates the objects of those classes as beans. It creates an objects as a beans. So registers them and then it will registers them in the IOC container, making them available throughout the application. So how beans are created and managed in Spring Boot means it will while the Spring Boot scans a package, it finds the annotations classes at component like at service. If it sees that annotations means it creates an objects like a beans and then it registers them in the IOC container and making them available throughout the application. Let's see the example. This annotation at service, this annotation marks the class as a bean to manage by Spring. So here they are using a constructor based dependency injection using at AutoWired. So when the Spring Boot scans this package containing user service, it sees that at service annotation and then creates an object instance of the user service because it sees while scanning the package it sees the at service annotation, so it then creates an instances of user service for this one and then it will registers them in the IOC container. The user repository, another bean is injected. This is the dependency injection. So the here the user repository is injected to the user service through the constructor injection. This is the constructor based dependency injection using at AutoWired. So we have seen what is beans before. So at component scan is used to instruct Spring Boot to scan the specific packages for components, configuration and beans. It looks for classes annotated with at component, at service, at repository, at controller. These annotated classes are automatically registered as beans and managed by Spring's IOC inversion of control container. How beans are created and injected means when Spring Boot detects a component during scanning, it creates an instance of that class bean. Then it will be dependency injection happens by injecting required beans wherever needed using the at AutoWired. Example with art component scan is this one. How the process works means during startup, Spring Boot scans the specified package for all the annotated components for every detected classes like at service, at repository, an object bean is created. After seeing this annotation, object bean is created and then registered with the IOC container. These three steps will be happen when it scans the Spring Boot scans the packages. It will see the detected classes like at service, at repository, and then it converts as an object bean is created, and then it will be registered with IOC container. These beans are injected into other components wherever required using at AutoWire. So in this example, at service annotation is seen. So it will create a, as we see, as we discussed, it will create an object and register with IOC container whenever that AutoWire is seen. So these beans are injected into other components wherever required using at AutoWire. So to do service is a bean because of at service notation. So to do service is a bean here because of this at service annotation. So to do repository is passed here because injected to the to do service. To do repository is injected to the to do service through the constructor injection. So it is automatically injected. So why you use at component scan means it avoids mutual bean creation by scanning and registering components automatically. This makes the application easier to configure, extend and maintain by ensuring loose coupling between components. So it helps Spring Boot detect annotated components and register them as a beans. So beans are created automatically and injected where needed, ensuring modular and maintainable code through dependency injection and IOC. So this is the use of at component scan. Thank you.